Welcome to Long COVID MD. I'm your host, Dr. Zeest Khan, a licensed and board-certified physician who is also a patient with Long COVID. I've applied all of my medical expertise and understanding of the healthcare system to my recovery, and now I want to share what I've learned with you. On this podcast, we talk about my own experience with Long COVID, I share evolving science behind this disease, and we discuss safe, reliable treatment strategies that you can consider with your healthcare team. Remember, nothing I say here replaces personalized medical advice from a licensed medical specialist. Now let's get started. Welcome back to Long COVID MD. I am Dr. Zeest Khan. I'm a physician with Long COVID, recording this in my car in a parking lot. So I hope you don't mind. The audio may not be as crisp as it usually is. I haven't done a personal episode for some time. So I wanted to update you on how I'm feeling and what's been on my mind. Thanksgiving's around the corner. Let's go ahead and talk about it. First thing I want to mention is that daylight savings time stinks for me personally. The good thing is that I'm actually waking up more consistently at a time that's early enough for me to see my kids go to school. That's great. That makes me feel good. But it gets dark by 5:30. Certainly by 6 o'clock, it's dark outside. And it is depressing. So you all are probably familiar with seasonal affective disorder, and I'm certainly feeling it. That being said, I live in California, so I am a little bit of a lightweight, but I did do my medical school and internship in Chicago. So it wasn't always, dark and gloomy in Chicago, but I have some experience with not great weather. Still, what I can do about that, or what I'm trying to do, is to, number one, recognize that the weather is affecting me. And number two, recognize my habits. The way I respond to the darkness is the darkness makes me feel like the day is over and I need to bundle up and cocoon. And the fact of the matter is 5 o'clock nowadays is not the end. It's not my bedtime. And I don't want to be in bed by 5 o'clock every evening. What I have been doing in response to the darkness is scrolling online. Guys, I am scrolling too much. I want to change that. So the first thing I did was recognize that I'm feeling bummed out. Number two, recognize what I'm doing to comfort myself when I'm bummed out. And then number three, assess whether or not that's the healthiest option or if there's an alternative. There has to be an alternative to scrolling. I came across yet another study. It was just an abstract, so the study isn't published yet, explaining how much short form videos negatively impact our attention span and our emotional well-being. So I know that you might be in bed and have your phone as your connection to the world. It certainly has been for me, particularly places like Twitter and now Substack. It's been really helpful in the past, but I'm reminding myself that I have to use this with intention, and I recommend that you do the same. I have had significant cognitive injury from COVID. So when I see data that shows me that this activity is actually harming my cognition, I have to take that seriously, and I hope that you do too. At the same time, I don't want to lose it as a way to connect with you and a way to connect with others to feel some sort of community. So that takes intention. And I read a book recently, or actually, snippets of it, called How to Break Up with Your Phone. And the author suggested a 3-step method. Whenever you pick up your phone, ask yourself, what for? Why now? What else? What for? Why am I picking up the phone? Am I sad, lonely, stressed? Am I doing this as an act of comfort to avoid some feeling that I might want to deal with or some activity that I need to do? Um, Number 2, why now? Is there a reason that I am picking up the phone at this moment? What for and why now in my mind are pretty connected. And then number 3, what else? Is there something else that I could be doing to make myself feel better that is an alternative to scrolling? So I'm asking myself those 3 questions as soon as I realize that I am doom scrolling or just mindlessly scrolling. So that might help you as well. My mood is low, not only because of the weather or the daylight, but also because Thanksgiving's around the corner. And I'm thinking a lot about the ways my family dynamics have changed, my family of origin, since falling ill. Um, I spoke with a therapist years ago who told me that, people show up to the therapist in crisis more often during the holidays than any other time of year. It reminded me of a very clear statistic that we have, in the operating room and emergency rooms of, heart attacks happening around the holidays, traumas and burns happening around the 4th of July. It just makes sense. This time of year is filled with emotion and stress and grief. It is not a picture perfect Instagram post for anyone. So without getting into details of all of my family issues and relationships, this illness has given me a lot to think about. It has made me act in ways that I'm proud of and act in ways that I'm still reflecting on. And so I know I'm going to have a really fun time with my husband and kids. And I wish that, well, I wish ... I wish, for a lot of things. And I imagine that you're wishing for some things too. I don't know how to make you feel better about that, but just recognize that this is inevitable, that these feelings, that this time of year is going to bring up some grieving, some grief. Next, I want to talk about another thing that's bumming me out and a way that I am trying to do better. I'm bummed out because I feel old. I see my face dropping, and I know every person who lives on this earth long enough will say that they had a time when they looked in the mirror and didn't recognize themselves. They said, "Who's that old person in the mirror?" And there's a great clip of the Golden Girls um, about this. So if you haven't seen that, it's an interaction between Dorothy and Rose, and it's pretty hilarious, as always. But yeah, I don't recognize the woman in the mirror. And I'm doing that thing where I'm pulling my neck up and back. So I'm thinking about, what would a lower facelift really entail? So you guys will know that I'm feeling completely better, or I have lost it altogether if you see me looking like a cat one day. But yeah, that, our bodies humble us and this is inevitable. But I felt ill right around 40. And these few years, I had plans for them to regain, quote unquote, my body after having children, after, going through medical training. Um, you have to use your body quite a bit in both of those scenarios. And I've never been an athlete, but I've always, maintained healthy habits, except for this huge category of stress and pushing myself through fatigue, and dealing with really, emotionally and physically challenging scenarios. So that's not a small thing. I had plans to sort of regain what I had lost or used. So that didn't happen. Instead, I have gone through a period of more inflammation and more injury, and I am working on my physical health. I think I'm in a period where I can reintroduce exercise, but I'm injuring myself pretty easily when I try to do any sort of exercises, quote, on my own. So I'm working with a fantastic physical therapist. But anyway, my body is changing in ways that make me a little sad. But what I have been thinking a lot of in the same line of thought is the dear and fantastic Alice Wong. If you're not familiar with Alice Wong, she is or was, she unfortunately passed away earlier this week, or was it last week? It was on the 14th of November. At the age of 51, she had muscular atrophy and a neuromuscular condition. She was wheelchair bound and ultimately had a tracheostomy in the last few years of her life. Her body underwent tremendous trauma, and you would say that she lost a lot of control over her life. But with that life, she did so much advocacy for people with disabilities and welcomed long COVID patients who are now newly disabled into the disability community, to recognize that we are now going through things that many, many, many other people whom we may have overlooked or we may have thought we didn't have anything in common with have been dealing with and surviving and thriving through for generations. So Alice Wong was an author, a MacArthur genius, and a community builder. She lived in San Francisco for a big part of her adult life. And I recommend her memoir, Year of the Tiger. Year of the Tiger is a book that made me a better doctor, and it made me a more gracious patient with long COVID. It gave me more grace for my body. And I am forever grateful for her for that. She and I interacted multiple times online. She was always kind to me and always generous. In addition to Year of the Tiger, she helped compile a book of essays called Disability Visibility as part of a collaborative project to center the voices of people with disabilities. And her message, even in passing, because her family published a message that she had pre-written to be posted at the time of her passing, that we need to share our stories. And this, I'm paraphrasing, but that community is what makes us stronger. Isolation and silence does not. She urged all of us to share what we are going through with others, and she was a bitch in the best ways. Like, I didn't get to meet her in person, but I can just imagine from, reading her work and watching her interviews, that she just insisted on what she needed. And I think a lot of us are embarrassed to do that. I have used this word embarrassment many, many times. When I first fell ill, the first feeling I had was embarrassment. That was overwhelmed everything else. And Alice reminded us or insisted that she had nothing to be ashamed of. She had nothing to apologize for, and that her existence and presence needed to be accommodated and valued. So she passed away this week, her family said, from an infection, and her memory is going to, live on. There are a lot of people grieving online. Sometimes that grief has come across in anger. But I think the passion of the conversation reflects how much she meant to so many people. So if you have not read anything by Alice Wong, didn't know anything about her, I'm going to link an essay of hers. I'll find a good one. And I'm also going to link two fundraisers, one for Alice's foundation, and two for the project that she supported, eSIMs, Crips for eSIMs. She helped raise a lot of money to provide SIM cards for Palestinians in Gaza. Consider contributing as a gift in her memory. I'll stop here. Hope that this coming week and this next season treats you well. And please remember what you need and what you might be feeling right now. Just be cognizant that this can be a really heavy time and that grief can catch you by surprise. Email me. My email is longcovidmd@gmail.com. I love hearing from you. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what's working for you and what's challenging you. Yeah, I hope you enjoy moments of happiness and joy through this time. Take good care. Bye for now.